Story 1. 1. 7K. R. Malicious Compliance. Posted by U.K. Grim Dragonfly. 9 hours ago. Bad A asterisk ed aren't. Sock. Not truly malicious. Devious sure but malicious. Probably not. One Thanksgiving at my parents' house when my niece was 5 and I was in my 30s. We both told my mom we only want Cool Whip for dessert. Neither of us like pie all that much. Mom. Okay. But only one spoonful. I look at my niece and say hold on. Run to the kitchen and grab the 2 biggest spoons I can find. You all know the ones. The huge serving spoons that probably hold at least half a cup when piled high. The grins on our faces were huge. Mom kinda chuckled and filled our spoons. 20 years ago and my niece still thinks I'm the bomb for coming up with the idea. 85 comments. Award. Share. Save. 90 people here. If you're enjoying this video, like, comment, subscribe, and turn notifications on. Story 2. $1. 0K. R. Malicious Compliance. Posted by U. Virula93. 7 hours ago. The time my office became a daycare. MOC. At my workplace. We have an internal employee site where we can make announcements, post project updates, etc. For each post, comment, you can see the employee's name and a small profile photo. Most profile photos were normal. But it wasn't uncommon for someone's photo to include family, pets, or the person in an action situation, like skiing or running a marathon. Nothing insane. Post-COVID, people sometimes started adding other kinds of flair icons to their photos. Could be a sports team logo, a pride flag, or whatever else. Around election 2020, the situation began escalating. Some people changed their photos to elicit more charged emotions, like Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, religious symbols, or just straight endorsements for some politician that was clearly meant to rile up another group. Since we were just in a state of total fuck it at this point. A few brave individuals even changed their photos to anime. And one guy who shared a name with a famous person set his photo to a picture of the musician because he thought it was funny. HR stepped in and, rather than just say no political imagery, they probably didn't want to bother defining political, and honestly at this point I didn't blame them. They made the rule. Profile photos must be a clear headshot of the employee on a plain background. No other person, animal, flag, or other icon should be visible. You are permitted to wear a hat as long as it is a solid color and abides by other stated guidelines. They claimed this was due to people displaying images that did not depict themselves or included a group of people, which made it difficult for people to connect names to faces. But we all knew this was because of the political shit show happening internally. Next week. Q. Malicious Compliance. The rules did not state that the photo had to be recent. Dozens of employees set their profile photo to be their baby photos. HR must have gotten a kick out of it, and were probably just relieved the internal political war was over, because a couple of them even joined in. Anyway, that's the story of how I worked at a company full of children. 48 comments. Award. Share. Save. 128 people here. If you're enjoying this video, like, comment, subscribe, and turn notifications on. Story 3. $6. 9K. R. Malicious Compliance. Posted by U. Danver Santiago. 17 hours ago. Don't calculate a table's bills the moment you get their order ticket. It makes it hard to keep track. You got it, boss. Lock. TLDR. Coworker insisted I use his slower method of calculating bills. which led to an excessively long line of customers making payments, as opposed to the usual 1 to 2 customers I deal with at a time. Hello friends. This is my first post on the Malicious Compliance subreddit. While it may not be as juicy and dramatic as a number of the ones I've seen, I just wanted to share something that happened to me today while I was at work. Info. This does not take place in the US, Europe, or Australia. This is set in Asia. I won't clarify where since it's not important. Just wanted to give you guys context. For starters, I'm 23, a university student working part-time at my aunt's restaurant to make a little extra moolah, edit. Meant moolah. Before the academic year starts. My job is pretty simple. It's an all-rounder job where I need to take people's orders, send tickets to the kitchen, calculate each table's bills, handle payments and clear tables. TLDR. I'm currently working part-time as a waitress. I'm only here until the end of this week because I secured another gig elsewhere before the academic year starts. So I figured why not finish this week for a little extra cash before then. I get along with most of the staff, all of whom are a decade or so older than me, and said individuals work at the restaurant full-time. There's another part-timer, 19, who's working here and he comes to work whenever H is able since H is studying too. He wasn't around for a couple of weeks, so I've been left to sort out most waitressing matters. My shifts during lunch hour get particularly busy, which is why my system keeping the workflow super smooth is a crucial point to this post. The moment after bills have been settled, tables need to be cleared immediately because new customers come pouring in and some insist on being seated, even before the tables have been cleared or wiped down. I came up with a system in the 3 weeks that I've been working here that works for both myself and my colleagues. Upon receiving tickets for orders that have been received, I always key in their order according to the table they're sat so that it's less time consuming in the event other customers want to settle their respective bills. Customers are expected to come to the payment counter when they're ready to pay. So this system is a lot easier and much more efficient than letting tickets pile up and only calculate the bill right when customers are about to pay, which results in a longer line. I always make it a point to ask customers if their food has all arrived, if they were satisfied with the quality of their order and if they ordered anything else that I hadn't seen on their tickets. Once they verify their orders are correct, that's all. I go about my day and mind my business. That was until the other part-timer approached me earlier today. His point was an eyebrow raiser. For sure. I'm not the type of person to pick fights or argue. So since he was so insistent that my way of doing things was making it difficult for him to keep track of additional orders at each table, I decided to just let him have at it since he was so happy to tell me how to do my job. I simply smiled and nodded at him, making a beeline to the cleaning supplies and thinking to myself, you want me to stop punching in people's orders? Sure thing. Quote. For a solid hour or two, I only collected the tickets, bringing them to the cash register and letting them pile up, just as he requested. When I noticed customers stand up from their seats and making their way to the payment counter, I would speedwalk to the cleaning supplies and start collecting plates to show that my hands were occupied, and that I would be able to sort out people's bills. I left it all to my dear coworker, who tried telling me what to do and how to do it. It was the right call to make because the line that followed, due to his insistence on changing the system, snaked about halfway through the restaurant, full of customers waiting their turn to pay their bill. 163 comments. Award. Share. Save. 197 people here. If you're enjoying this video, like, comment, subscribe, and turn notifications on. Story 4. $115. Malicious Compliance. Cross-posted by you. Get off my unicorn 70. 7 hours ago. This is a story about how a coworker got to do her own work. OC. R. Petty Revenge. Posted by You. Get Off My Unicorn 70. 7 hours ago. This is a story about how a coworker got to do her own work. Players. Op. Writer and External Relations. Boss Troy. Director. Boss Joey. Assistant Director. Lola. The photographer and social media. Long, about a year ago. My coworker, Lola, was overwhelmed by a project that had taken her about a year to get nowhere on. She resisted all help on the project, insisting she could do it better than anyone else. I had done an identical project as Lola several times in the past, but she wouldn't let anyone else touch it. Having experience in such a project was a factor in my getting hired, because Lola and no one else on staff had this experience, including the bosses. Yet, because she found the process so overwhelming and the bosses would insist on making her work as part of a team, I was asked to absorb some of her photography assignments within the media office for which we work. I am the staff writer, but have some 30 years of experience in all areas of our office, to include writing, reporting, photography, social media, video, media relations, community relations and event management. I have worked hard over the years to understand the full scope of our field so I can pitch in a pinch. Lola is a photographer and graphic designer. A very good one. But that is all she has ever been willing to learn. She uses Canva primarily for graphic design, because it's easy. She has told me as much. Anyone can use Canva. That's why Canva exists. 9 months past deadline. Im asked to help Lola by helping with her workload. She would get full days to focus just on the project, which was 9 months overdue. I would do both our jobs on those days, as well as half the photo assignments day to day. I likewise ended up doing a vast majority of any work that occurred in the evenings, because I'm a team player and she has kids. I remember the challenge of being a working mother with children and tried to be empathetic of her situation, as my own children are grown and out of the house. She has a large, local, extended family. Closing parenthesis. Fast forward to recent days. The big project was completed a few months ago, at least 15 months late. The work tempo never shifted, though. I was able to keep up with the workload and didn't even think about the fact that I was still doing work that I had voluntarily offered to take on at least a year earlier to be a team player. Work that never shifted back to Lola. I honestly had forgotten all about it, as I don't mind the nature of the work, and it got me out of the office quite a bit. I also didn't feel overwhelmed. One Monday, I had done a photo assignment and took some pictures that were well composed, but were not the quality of what Lola the photographer would have produced. I have a camera, while Lola has a multitude of lenses, cameras and lights to work with. So, of course what Shush is going to create will look better than anything I can accomplish with the basic stuff I was given as a writer, who can help out in a pinch. These photos were particularly valuable, as whole families had come out to the experience, which we were not anticipating. So, there were some special photos in there that meant a lot to people other than myself as well. Lola sees the photos and communicates that, if I don't mind, Shush is going to use photos she took herself a full year prior. Ones that are out of date and don't include all participants. Don't include the families in any way. Lola could have handled it a lot of ways. Even if she still didn't use my photos, she could have remained professional. Instead, she replied to my email with a list of about half a dozen things she felt were wrong with the photos and said that they were just some of the reasons she wouldn't be using my work. Not acknowledging my message would have been politer, and I honestly wouldn't have chased her down to do my will. I support her in her work, But she did ask my opinion in this case and then talked to me like garbage. And Boss Troy and Boss Joey saw it all and said nothing. The photos were good. But she made him sound like a monkey had taken them with its feet. So, I drafted 2 emails. One to Lola to let her know that I would be deferring all future photo assignments to her so she could be confident in the work that was produced. If she had a calendar conflict, I would be happy to help out. But otherwise I was going to defer them to her in the future. The bosses were CCED. Then I emailed Boss Troy and Boss Joey and told them much the same thing as Lola. Being sure to be respectful and professional the entire time. I told them her actions don't contribute to a healthy workplace. Still, no acknowledgement. I am intentionally putting all of this in writing to protect myself. Get it on the record and validate the professionalism I maintained. I work hard to never give anyone ammunition to use against me. I worked many years for the military and had to navigate those channels very carefully as a woman in the land of male war fighters. I'm just coming out of a pretty severe depression. So this whole thing threw me for a loop. I was deeply wounded that my coworker would treat me in such a way and that neither of our bosses addressed it. I ended up taking the next day off. And no one checked on me. That's not to get pity, mind you. But no one in any way acknowledged what happened. I deserved more respect as a simple human walking the earth. No one deserves to be treated that way. I sat there midday that Tuesday. And, I'm so sad, just popped into my head. I thought that was an interesting thing to consider, and then realized that my anger was rooted in the fact that Lola was just plain unkind to me. She wasn't just unprofessional. She was intentionally mean. Then I remembered I had been voluntarily helping her with her work. I had gotten so used to the work tempo that I'd just plain forgotten the photo assignments were never intended to be split tasks. I came back to work Wednesday. And still no one addressed it. I did notice how my coworkers kept looking at me like they were waiting for me to say something. So Lola had been talking to them in my absence. It wasn't me being paranoid. It was blatantly obvious. I chose not to be passive-aggressive to Lola. But I also didn't go out of my way to interact with her. I have treated my other coworkers as I would any other time. With kindness and a helpful heart. Friday rolled around. And still the bosses and Lola ignored the situation. No apologies. No comments about me deferring assignments. Nothing. I decided if they were not going to advocate for me and deal with the situation, then I would handle it. I have continually been asked to be the bigger person when Lola has been less than professional. And this was probably her 5th strike at this point. This miss was just freaking huge on her part. I head down to Boss Joey's office. Who makes the assignments? I ask if I could close the door and talk with him. I told him I knew there had been drama and that I didn't want to go into the weekend with anything unsaid or on my mind. I told him I had no desire to sit down and talk with Lola and reminded him of her former work tempo. It was clear he had forgotten. I reminded him that I could do virtually every job on the staff, which he affirmed. I then likewise stressed that Lola had no ability to work outside of her lane. Even if she wanted to. She doesn't have the capacity to help me in my own work in any manner. He agreed that was also the case. I explained that it's unfair to ask me to do 140% to Lola's 60%. I told him it was wrong to have me do more just because I can. I likewise reminded him how many photo assignments were at night, most of which he'd been doing. So, Lola was likewise going to have to start planning to adjust her work schedule when needed. I asked him to please be sure to let Boss Troy know, so that we all knew what to anticipate as we moved forward. I likewise asked him to remind Boss Troy and Lola that I was simply giving back work that had been hers all along. I told him that I would not under any circumstances put myself in a position to be treated in that manner by a coworker in the future. I asked if he had any questions. He had none. So I thanked him for his time and went back to work. I've been asked to do one photo assignment by boss Joey since then. But Lola had a direct calendar conflict. I don't believe Shush has realized the genuine change that's occurred yet, as we're in week 1, and thinks it's all just gone away. I mean, if they didn't talk to me, they sure as heck didn't talk with her. So, now I work hard and wait for Lola to ask me to take on something when she doesn't have a direct calendar conflict. At that time, I'll remind her Shush is the photographer and she can have the most confidence in her work if she does it herself. Professionally, of course. 599 points, 108 comments. 21 comments. Award. Share. Save. 25 people here. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe, and turn notifications on.